Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call the Deltona City Commission meeting for Monday, October 18th, 2021 to order. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez. Present. Commissioner King. Here. Commissioner Mcleod. Here. Commissioner Ramos. Present. Commissioner Sosa. Here. Vice Mayor Bradford. Here. And Mayor Hersberg.
Here. And this evening, we are going to turn the meeting over to Commissioner McCool for the invocation, pledge, and national anthem. It's all yours.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
You're very welcome, Honorable Commissioner.
We are going to stand and have our invocation, followed by the pledge and the national anthem. Please bow your heads and take this moment to reflect on whatever it is that may be bothering you or that you would like to give thanks for. Amen. Commissioner King, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, our national anthem is being presented by David Castro of Trinity, and he is in the 6th grade.
Job.
Thank you, Monica.
Okay, we'll move on to begin our business meeting. Item 4A is the approval of the minutes and agenda. We have multiple minutes on the agenda today: July 6th, 2021, July 19th, 2021, August 2nd, 2021, August 16th, 2021, May 24th, 2021, June 28th, 2021, September 27th, 2021. May we have a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Vice Mayor Bradford, seconded by Commissioner Ramos. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we'll move on to the fun and exciting part of the evening. We have several presentations this evening. The first is a joint presentation from Commissioner McCool and Commissioner William Sell from the City of DeBary. Commissioner McCool?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I appreciate that. I've been dwelling on this, the subject of this presentation for a few weeks, and we are now entering into our fall months. And I said to myself, in improving and having transparency and honesty and being a leader, what all does that mean? And a part of that is true self-assessment and self-awareness. And so with that being said, I reached out to a friend of mine who is Commissioner William Sell from DeBary, and I challenged him to a weight loss competition. As we move into the fall and get healthier, we would like to highlight our beautiful parks because it starts in the parks. We would like to focus on health and wellness with our respective constituency, our cities. We would like to explore the area and feature people that are that train and are involved in nutrition. We would like to be involved with our local wellness coaches at Advent and Halifax. We'll be calling on them and make this good-natured competition here. And so to sweeten the pot, we have each pledged $1,000. And at the end of this weight loss competition, it will run for 3 months, and at the end of this, the winner will have the money to donate to their favorite nonprofit or charity in their city. So we will be taking the funds and doing that. And in full disclosure and transparency, we will be weighing in this evening in public. I know. But the reason that we're doing that is because, removing the stigma from the actual weight and moving into the wellness portion of it. And so with that, I would also like to ask Commissioner Sell to come up in his sock feet and empty his pockets, because I know that he's a fisherman and likely to have weights in his pocket. And I would like to introduce you to David Ard with Ard Bodies Fitness here in Deltona. He is a personal trainer and wellness coach, and he will be weighing us in, and we'll be announcing our numbers. And next month we will be weighing in at DeBerry City Hall, and then month 3 we'll be weighing in at the winner from month 1 to month 2. So if you will, give us a couple of moments. We each have matching scales, and we're going to weigh and announce our numbers and let the shenanigans begin. Drum roll, please. Thank you.
No. I'm curious.
Not allowed. Nope. Who the hell invited that? It's not supposed to be here.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
Here is test. Okay, good. Come over here.
Matching the scales, let's see. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Ard?
All right, Dana's coming in at a 193.4 pounds. BMI 35.6.
I was 193 when I was 12.
We can bring that back. Body fat 46.8. A little bit of work to do there.
So
But we got this.
I want to say the winner is going to be determined based on the largest percentage of body fat lost, okay, instead of pounds, because it translates. He's a little bit taller than me. So
Very true.
thank you very much.
Appreciate that knowledge, Dana. Drum roll. We're at.
You're not allowed to laugh, Marissa. No laughing. Should be, but I don't know why it's not really doing anything. You're so close. You guys should have had a bit. Yeah, it just keeps doing that though.
Dana, get your foot off the scale.
That's what I need. That will work in my favor. Yeah, not doing anything.
Okay. So we're having a connectivity issue, but I will tell you this. I implicitly trust Commissioner, is it doing it?
It's coming in at 308.
How do you go to your name? Like, how do you go to your name? Like, I have my wife in it. Go back. back. See, that's the name of it. That's my wife.
Right here?
Is it?
I don't know.
Right there. There.
Okay.
There.
Okay, Commissioner Sill? You're good. Drum roll.
All right, my man. 308 pounds, 0.2 ounces. BMI is 41.7. Body fat, 45.7%. That is our start. Here we go from here. They are pretty close, you guys. 45.7 here, 46.8 over here. So, hey, that's a close start for each other. Let's go.
Oh my God, he's giving me milk aways, y'all. He just passed me up.
And I'm not a betting man, but I got my money on her. For certain reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. So listen, join along with us. We're going to be posting on our respective cities' websites where we're working out. We'll be introducing you to local wellness and fitness coaches. We'll be offering tips on diets and stuff like that. Not diets, but healthy eating. It's really important as we move through the millennium here to be healthy, and we just really would like our communities to join us. So congratulations. Mr. Sell, you did your best, but I think I'm betting on Team Deltona, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioners, Commissioner Sell, Commissioner McCool. That's amazing, and I commend both of you for being so public about that. That is so exciting, and we're here to cheer for you, Honorable Commissioner McCool. So moving on to the next item, item B, it's a proclamation. It is proclaiming October 28th, 2021 as Lights On After School Day. Commissioner Ramos?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'm going to ask, as I walk down, if our Joe Sullivan, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls, and TJ, who's the Director of our Harris Saxon Club, meet me downstairs. Just a quick note, our Harris Saxon Boys and Girls Club is currently serving approximately 70 boys and girls, so definitely well-deserved. So it says, whereas the citizens of City of Deltona, Florida, and firmly committed to quality after-school programs and opportunities because they provide safe, challenging, and engaging learning experience that help children develop social, emotional, physical, and academic skills, support working families by ensuring their children are safe and productive after the regular school ends, build stronger communities by involving students, parents, business leaders, and adult volunteers in the lives of young people, thereby promoting positive relationships among youth, families, and adults, engages families, schools, and community partners in advancing the welfare of our children. Whereas the Florida After School Network and the Boys and Girls Club of Volusia, Flagler counties has provided significant leadership throughout the pandemic to keep kids engaged, learning, and meet the needs of the families in our community, especially those who need extra support to catch up and accelerate their learning. And whereas Lights and After School, the National Celebration of After School program held this year on October 28, 2021, promotes the importance of quality after-school programs in the lives and children, families, and communities. And whereas approximately 1.5 million children and youth in Florida are waiting right now for a spot in an after-school program, many of whom have no place to go after school. And whereas many after-school programs across the state are facing funding and staffing shortfalls, so severe that they're being forced to close their doors and turn off their lights. And whereas the City of Deltona is committed to investing in the health and safety of all young people by providing expanded learning opportunities that would help close the achievement gap and prepare young people to compete in the global economy. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and the Commission of the City of Deltona, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 28, 2021 as Lights On After School Day and commit our city to invest and engage in improving after-school programs and activities that ensure the lights to stay on and the doors to stay open for all children after school. Executed this 18th day of October 2021, signed by our Mayor Heidi Herzberg. Would you like to say some words?
Well, I don't know which way I should turn. Thank you. We started here 30 years ago. We've got 8 clubs, 46 staff. We expanded from Deltona throughout the community, but we did start here. We got TJ after Hurricane Maria. He worked for the Boys and Girls Club in San Juan. And again, because of your generosity, because of your willingness to partner with us, we have a Boys and Girls Club in Deltona, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to take a picture of you guys. I'll also take pictures of you. Okay, yeah, but if my marketing person will yell at me if I don't get this. How about maybe in front of the logo? And we should ask TJ to speak. When he got here, English was his second language. We're very proud of him. Thank you.
Thank you. TJ, some words?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Turn around. Get in.
Okay. My hair look okay?
Yeah, you look fine. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, next up, we have another proclamation proclaiming the week of October 18th through the 24th as Florida City Government Week. And we also have in the back, we've got some stickers and some pens for Florida City Government Week from the Florida League of Cities. Commissioner McCool?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. This proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the city government is the government closest to most citizens and the one with the most direct daily impact upon its residents, and whereas city government is administered for and by its citizens and is dependent upon public commitment to and understanding of its many responsibilities, and whereas the city government officials and employees share the responsibility to pass along their understanding of public services and their benefits, and whereas Florida City Government Week is a very important time to recognize the important roles played by city government in our lives, and whereas this week offers an important opportunity to spread the word to all the citizens of Florida that they can shape and influence this branch of government which is closest to the people, and whereas our city wants to also use this week to emphasize this is our city, and we are part of and are proud of it, and whereas Florida City Government Week offers an important opportunity to convey to all the citizens of Florida that they can shape and influence government through their civic involvement and positively impact lives by volunteering. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Commission of Deltona, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 18th through 24th, 2021 to be Florida City Government Week. We encourage all citizens, city government officials, and employees to do everything possible to ensure that this week is recognized and celebrated accordingly. Executed this 18th day of October 2021. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner McCool, for the proclamation. And we'll move on to item 6A, ordinances and public hearings. Public hearing, resolution number 2021-55, vacation of lots and rights of way associated with a portion of the Orlando Farms and Groves plat. Mr. Paradise.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ron Paradise, City of Deltona, for the record. Resolution number 2021-55 is to request several public rights-of-way within a 130-acre property known locally as the Portland Industrial Park. The property is located on the east side of North Normandy Boulevard, basically east of the existing Amazon Fulfillment Center. As part of a rezoning action approved by the city this summer of this year, this vacation event was mentioned, and the city did pledge to vacate these right-of-ways. The right-of-ways known as Colombo, Del Norte, and San Cristobal were created as part of a 1920s vintage plat known as Orlando Farms and Groves. The vacation of these rights-of-ways will ensure a unified and functional development of the Portland Industrial Park property. The amount of land being occupied by these rights-of-ways totals 3.46 acres of land. However, future right-of-way dedication as part of the development of the Portland Industrial PUD will include two east-west thoroughfares, or corridors, one being 60-foot in width and the other a 70-foot envelope that is going to be dedicated to the city to accommodate the eventual Rhode Island Road extension. These two eventual dedications amount to about 6 acres of land that will be dedicated to the city for functional public rights-of-ways. Staff does recommend the city approve resolution number 2021-55, vacating the subject sections of the Del Norte, San Cristobal, and Colombo rights-of-way on the the Portland Industrial Park property. We tried to simplify the motion language, but it's kind of, forgive me, it's kind of tough because we deal sometimes with these legal descriptions and whatnot. I'll be happy to field any questions y'all may have on this.
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Paradise? Commissioner Sosa and Commissioner McCool.
Yeah. Just for reference on the map here, Colombo, is that where the Rhode Island extension, where in that proximity is Rhode Island extension going to take place?
The Rhode Island extension is going to run along basically the southern margin of the Portland Industrial Park. I would speculate there's probably about a quarter mile to the south of that east-west Colombo right away.
Okay. Now, I remember when we approved this that the person that was buying that property was going to give us those right-of-ways.
Correct.
As part of the lower impact fees. But basically what we're doing is we're just basically swapping some property.
There, with regard to improving those rights-of-ways, there will be proportionate fair share allocated to that.
Share?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically we're basically swapping 4 acres for 6 acres.
You could look at it that way. Even if there wasn't a swap, you'd still see staff recommending approval of this. It's more driven by ensuring that there's a functional development of the property in a unified manner.
Okay. And this, it's not going to actually impact the Rhode Island extension. It'll actually enhance it, correct?
Yes, because combined with a 30-foot existing right-of-way to the south will give us a 100-foot wide corridor through that segment, which aligns pretty well with the existing Rhode Island right-of-way located westward of North Normandy.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner McCool.
Ron, that 6 acres that we're getting back, what are we going to do with that 6 acres?
It's going to be road right-of-ways.
Right-of-ways? Mm-hmm. No garden gnome farm there?
Not in this case, no. This is going to be a more utilitarian type of usage.
I thought so. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. With that being said and clarified, I hereby move to approve Resolution 2021-55, vacating certain rights-of-way segments and lots of the Orlando Farms and Groves subdivision map, Book 10, pages 222 through 228. It's further described in Exhibits A and B of Resolution number 2021-55. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the like.
Second.
Okay, properly moved by Commissioner McCool, seconded by Commissioner Ramos. Are there any members of the public that signed up to speak on this item?
Madam Mayor, we have one public comment. Albert Bryant, please.
Thank you. We'll open the public hearing for public comment.
Evening. Albert Bryan, Deltona. Basically, this is, from what I'm reading, just a land swap from the front side and the back side of this property. But what I'm missing here, and I'm sure anybody that's kept up with any of this is also missing, is I heard that Mr. Paradise says that we'll use it for the Rhode Island extension, but it doesn't say exactly what this company is actually using this right-of-way for. Is it going to be for turn lanes? Is it going to be for extending those turn lanes? Or is it just going to be putting up trees to hide their building so we don't see what they're doing in their big commercial building? Or is it to have proper stormwater drainage and or otherwise? none of that's really explained in any of this. And I didn't hear any questions pertaining to any of that. What this company is actually using this for. It's amazing how questions like that go unquestioned and unanswered. Appreciate y'all doing your homework.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, this ends public comment.
Thank you very much. Okay, commissioners, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other comments? May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda, we have no old business. We'll move to new business. 8A is a request for approval of the interlocal agreement with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office for provisions of law enforcement services. Mr. Peters?
Yes, ma'am. We began negotiations with the Sheriff's Department back, I believe, in July, August timeframe. Our goal was to ensure that the agreement covered some important issues that had not been covered in the prior agreements. We were very close back at the end of September, but we came forward with an MOU to carry us over. We've been able to finalize the details. The bottom line is we're going to have a total of 70 employees from the Sheriff's Department covering the city. It covers things such as ownership of vehicles and the like, which was not covered before, but I think this is a good start in terms of having a more open, transparent contract, and we're recommending that we approve it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner McCool?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I see that Captain Marino is here. I have a couple of questions, just two brief questions for him, if that's okay.
Good evening.
Thank you, Captain Marino. I wanted to ask with this, because VCS does a really good job of protecting us. You guys are out there, and I wanted to ask simply this question, sir. Are you happy with what we have when it comes to satisfying our LOS? Are you good with that? And when I say you, okay, the Sheriff's Department, is there anything that is not covered in here as far as, or do you have everything that you need as far as technology and people to keep up the LOS that is described in our agreement?
Yes, ma'am. We're very appreciative of the relationship that we have with the city, and we're excited about the fact that oftentimes we can collaborate with the city to come up with different projects. The nice thing about sourcing us out and utilizing us is that as far as technology is concerned, as far as current trends, as far as manpower, things of that nature, we're not just talking about within the city of Deltona. We're talking about the sheriff's office as a whole. So oftentimes we have a sheriff that's very innovative. He's very forward-thinking. This past year, I know I've mentioned it a few times, one of the things that we had mentioned was our program with the iPads dealing with mental health crisis situations. So those are the types of things, and we're getting great support from the city. Of course, we're extremely appreciative of that.
Okay. That's it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Ramos?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If there's no other questions, first of all, thank you for that response. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the collaboration that we are continuing to have. I hereby move to approve the interlocal agreement with Volusia County Sheriff for the provisions of law enforcement services. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener errors and the like.
Second.
Okay, that was about 3 seconds. Properly moved by Commissioner Ramos, and who did the second?
Second, I did.
Was it you, Commissioner?
Give it to Marissa. We all did.
And Commissioner Avila Vasquez, you are on the board, and then Vice Mayor.
Nope, I was just going to make a motion.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make a comment. For those of us up here who didn't know, it was a great CompStat meeting that you had this last week. I'm very happy with the figures that you brought us for the city of Deltona. And I just want to say thank you for all the activities that I see out there in the streets of Deltona, especially Deltona Boulevard. I'm also going to repeat what I said at that meeting. I'm very happy to see that the warnings went down and that you're citing everyone that you catch speeding out there in the streets. So we're happy. There are a few accidents on Deltona Boulevard because of speeding, so we need to, really pay attention to that street. But other than that, thank you so much. Thank you for your to your staff. I know that the 28th is First Responders Day, and I want to thank you guys for everything you do for the city of Deltona.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I also just want to, one more thing. Thank you also for bringing that pilot program with the juveniles that we're dealing with to the city of Deltona. We're the first one that is being used in,
Yes,
and I think we're doing progress. I think we're seeing progress in it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. And any members of the public sign up to speak on this contract?
Madam Mayor, there are no public comments.
Okay, then we'll close the public comment portion of this hearing. So we have a motion by Commissioner Ramos, a second by Commissioner Avila Vasquez. May we vote, please, on the contract? And the motion passes 7-0. Captain Marino, we appreciate you and your officers, your entire staff. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item B, a request for an approval of an indemnity agreement to assign new indemnities to serve as agents for the City of Deltona's 401A and the 457B deferred compensation plans. Mr. Peters and or Mary, who would like to speak on this?
Mary Lyson's going to come up on this one.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. This resolution is to assign new members to NFP. It's a working group. NFP is the fiduciary over our 457 deferred compensation and our 401A, which is the government equivalent of a 401K plan. The fiduciary provides the legal liability for the plan assets. The City of Deltona is actually the plan sponsor, and then we have two companies that we use that are record keepers, Nationwide and ICMA. And this is just an investment vehicle, retirement for our city employees. What this working group does is we meet quarterly with NFP and review the portfolio. One of the enhancements that NFP has brought to the city employees is a reduction in the fees, and they've done this through their selecting of different investment vehicles and negotiated lower fees with ICMA and Nationwide, and also the investment mutual funds that we invest in. We've had change of staff here at the city, and also we've expanded the working group to include different employees, and it's just, this is the way we have to legally endorse this group of employees.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mary? Vice Mayor?
If no questions, I can make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve the indemnity agreement to assign new members to serve on the deferred compensation working group as presented. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of Scrivener errors and the like.
Second.
Okay, properly moved by Vice Mayor Bradford, seconded by Commissioner McCool. We'll open the hearing for public comment. Is there anyone that signed up to speak on this item?
No, Madam Mayor.
Then we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing. We have a motion and a second. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. Next item, C, request or approval of an agreement with Mead and Hunt Incorporated for the construction, engineering, and inspection services in accordance with the City of Deltona RFQ number PW 2021-05 for Phase 4B Lake Monroe Intake, Pump Station, and RAW Water Transmission Main Project dated May 27, 2021, in the amount of $470,352. And I know this was it's the straw project on Lake Monroe, correct, sir?
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I'm going to give an overview of 4 items on the agenda right now because I think it's important that we understand how they work together. This item and the next 2 items, and then item B under consent agenda, all interrelated. The city, when they put together the last consumptive use permit that allowed the city to provide water for up to 125,000 customers at some point in the future. We have a 20-year consumptive use permit that's predicated in large part on what we call the St. Johns River 4B River Withdrawal Project. That project was previously approved by the Commission to prime construction. Unfortunately, that contract had a deadline for everything to be approved and construction started. In the course of doing this, we ran into some problems with the state revolving loan paperwork. Not of our doing, but it put us past, I believe it was a 60-day window we had to start the project. After we got everything done with the state, we went back to prime. As everybody knows, the supply chain in the United States has gone completely upside down. And the price of the piping at that time was going to be fusible PVC pipe had escalated tremendously. PVC pipe has a very heavy amount of petroleum in it. Gas prices, as everybody knows, have been to the gas station, have gone to the roof. And so we began negotiating and peer reviewing with the contractor. We were able to shift the pipe material to what we call HDPE, high-density polyethylene. It actually, from a construction standpoint, works in our benefit. When we were doing the PVC pipe, we were going to have to fuse it in literally 3,000-foot lengths, put it out into the river so we wouldn't block roadways, and then jack and bore all of it at one time. The fusible HDPE pipe can be fused as it's being put in the ground, so you don't have the large footprint for the pipe. We also were able to reduce the pipe size because the friction loss in HDPE is not as bad as PVC, and we were able to tweak the total volume of water that we want to take out of the river. So this would have been much more expensive. The good news is the dollar amount is still less than what the state approved for revolving loan, and the dollar amount is still less than the original engineer's estimate when this project was done. So as soon as we get this done, we will give a notice to proceed, finalize the paperwork with the state, and get this underway before the deadline, before another price increase. The contractor has indicated they will go ahead and purchase the pipe immediately so that we don't have this escalating material cost. This particular item is for the CEI services. There are 3 components of a construction project. There is the actual construction cost. Then we have what we call CEI services, construction, engineering, and inspection. Typically on a project this large, that number would be 4 to 5% of the contract amount. We had put out an RFQ for this work because we did not want to use the engineer who designed the project. It creates a conflict of interest, and so we chose to do an RFQ. The first firm selected under the CCNA laws we negotiated with. Their number was significantly more than the 4 to 5% number. In accordance with the CCNA law, we stopped the negotiation and went to the number 2 firm, who is Mead and Hunt. We were able to negotiate a fair agreement with Mead and Hunt, and that is what's before you on item A. This last element is Tetra Tech is the engineer of record. During the construction, there will be things that we need the engineer of record to do, such as certifying that the construction is in accordance with the permits that were done, things of that nature. So we have to keep them on board for a limited role. That is the Tetra Tech project. So that defines the 3. The 4th element, element B, that's in the consent agenda, is for Mead and Hunt to assist us with the process to see if we can put an ingestion well at the Alexander Rib site. The plan all along with Alexander Rib was to have rapid infiltration basins, i.e. the word rib, that would allow a certain amount of water to go down into the aquifer to replenish the aquifer for the water that we take out of the ground to provide drinking water. In addition, the plan was to have, I believe it was 3 to 4 ingestion wells to more efficiently put it into the ground. And then the last element, and probably the most controversial, is what we call aquifer storage and recovery, where we find pockets in the aquifer where we can put water in and then recover it at a later point. We are not planning to pursue that. What we're planning to do with item B in consent is to do the testing necessary to ensure that the surface water, once it's treated, will not have a negative effect on the aquifer. That particular project is basically an engineering consulting to do the testing and all, and then if it's successful and the project is permittable, then they would proceed to a final design for an ingestion well. So those are the 4 elements that are all related, and item A is for Mead and Hunt.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioners, you have any more questions for Mr. Peters or Mr. Danskin? If not, do we have any members of the public that signed up for this item?
No, Madam Mayor.
And we'll close the public comment portion of this item. And let's see, Vice Mayor Bradford.
I move to approve the agreement with Mead and Hunt, Inc. for the construction, engineering, and inspection services in accordance with the City of Deltona RFQ number PW 2021-05 for Phase 4B, Lake Monroe Intake Pump Station and Raw Water Transmission Main Project dated May 27, 2021 in the amount of $470,352. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of Scribner errors and the like.
Okay, we have a properly moved by Vice Mayor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a seconded by Commissioner Ramos. May we vote, please? Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is also part of this. It is item D, request approval of an agreement with Tetra Tech for the engineer of record construction phase services in accordance with the attached agreement for the Lake Monroe Reclaimed Water Treatment and Management Facilities Project 4B in the amount of $177,245. Mr. Peters has also tied this in his discussion. Commissioners, do you have any more questions for Mr. Peters or Mr. Danskin? And seeing none, do we have anybody that signed up for this portion of the public comment?
No, Madam Mayor.
Then we'll close the public comment portion of item D. Commissioners, if you have no questions, we need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
Okay.
I move to approve the agreement with Tetra Tech for the engineer of record construction phase services in accordance with the attached agreement for the Lake Monroe Reclaimed Water Treatment and Management Facilities Project 4B in the amount of $177,245. The acting city manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener's errors and the likes.
Second.
Okay, properly moved by Commissioner Villa-Vasquez, seconded by Vice Mayor Bradford. May we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. Item E, this is another portion of the same project, the request for approval to amend an unsigned agreement with Prime Construction Group Incorporated for the construction of Phase 4B Lake Monroe Intake Pump Station and RAW Water Transmission Main Project from $8,674,740 to $9,479,901.51, and an increase of $805,161.51 due to industry-wide shortages and price increases since the bid opening. Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just on this is really more a comment than a question. And that's about a 10% increase there. And I wanted to let you know, working directly in the business that I work in, which is transportation, and bringing in product and goods from China is one of my jobs. And we have in the business seen an incredible historical amount of cost and lack of resources that is hitting us, and I think that anywhere that you go, even on the grocery shelves, it's marked by that. Shipping containers that we used to bring over for $6,000 from China to Long Beach are now $30,000, right? Sometimes up to 300% price increase. So it is sad and it is tragic, but directly working with the business, letting my constituents know that this is not just hearsay. These amounts, it seems like big money when you're looking at close to $1 million increase on a project. It's not going over budget, it's going with historical demand here that we have. So I just want to say, if my constituents have questions about this, I've talked to a few of them because we have constituents that read these agendas and have questions like this, that this is unprecedented times that we're in. And the thing that's going to happen, this is going to go up. These are time sensitive. When we talk about time sensitive projects, we have to move on these. And it may seem like we're just whizzing through this, but we're not. We're trying to save money and time. Every day is so unpredictable with transportation, with cost of goods, with fuel, that this is a real thing. And for me, voting the way that I vote, yes, 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 I am trying to get us to get these projects going so that we can get the materials in, and just wanted to add that. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Sosa.
Well, I think you answered most of my questions. Going to the industry shortages, though, what guarantee do we have once this contract's signed that the Prime Construction will be able to secure the materials needed and the manpower needed to complete the project?
They have indicated to us that they have already been in touch with the manufacturers, and as soon as we have this approval and the final sign-off from the state within the next week, they will make the order and they will have it delivered so that there will be no more price escalations.
Okay. Now, they plan on ordering all the supplies at one time, or are they going to piecemeal it? Because, I know we started this process back in February, and there was a set price, and then it came back later on. It increased by several $100,000, and now we're seeing another $800,000. So once this contract is signed, they can no longer come back and say we need an increase in price because of materials.
There's a provision in the contract that locks the price in for, I believe it's 60 days. So as long as we get everything done in 60 days, they cannot escalate it based on the market.
Okay. My last question regards the piping. Is there any quality difference going between the HDPE and the PVC? Is there a quality difference between the two pipes? Will we see a shorter lifespan between one pipe versus the other?
For many years, HDPE was considered the preferable material. And that would have been our preference all along, as I indicated already. From a constructability standpoint, HDPE is much better to work with because you can work with shorter sections of pipe. But then the PVC manufacturer came out with a fusible PVC pipe. Most water lines and sewer lines you see are PVC pipes. They have a bell on them and they connect and they lock in. but they came out with a fusible material that you could directional drill. And when it first came out, it was far superior price-wise to HDPE. I know I had used it in my past. I was nervous the first time I used it, because the last thing you want to do is put a pipe 20-some feet in the ground and have a problem. But the HDPE had been in the market much longer, has had very good success rate. So actually, believe it or not, I'm actually happy that the HDPE pipe now is cheaper than the PVC pipe, because in my opinion, we're getting a superior product.
All right, thank you.
Vice Mayor Bradford?
I move to amend an unsigned agreement with Prime Construction Group, Inc. for the construction of the Phase 4B Lake Monroe intake, pump station, and raw water transmission main project from $8,674,740 to $9,479,901.51, an increase of $805,161.51 due to industry-wide shortages and price increases since the bid opening. The acting city manager has the authority to make correction of Scrivener errors and the like.
Second.
Properly moved by Vice Mayor Bradford, seconded by Commissioner Ramos. Has anyone signed up to speak for the public comment portion of this item?
No, Madam Mayor.
Then we'll close the public comment portion of this item. We have a motion and a second, and may we vote, please? And the motion passes 7-0. And in light of all the commentary about the price increase, this
Madam Mayor,
goes, yes.
if I could jump in here, I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of our acting Public Works Director, Steve Danskin, and his staff, along with Julia Johnson from the Finance Department and Jackie Chiaffi, also from the Finance Department, in purchasing, for their incredible effort in pulling all this together. They have spent a lot of hours trying to negotiate a favorable price, and I really appreciate their efforts.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we'll move on now to item 9, the public forum. Will you please read the people that have signed up for the public forum in the order that they're to speak?
Okay, Madam Mayor, we have 6 public comments: Albert Bryan, Troy Shimkus, Richard Bellick, Brandy White, Sean King, and Osani Gonzalez, please. Albert Bryan first.
Albert Bryan, Deltona. After a long weekend, having a lot of bikes in town, nice influx into the flea market and other parts of Daytona Beach and Volusia County, period. There was a total that was brought to my attention today of total hospital admissions in all of Central Florida for Bike Week. You have 52. That's total trauma. That's not just motorcycle traumas. Total associated with Biketoberfest was actually 22, and 1 death, unfortunately. Compare that to 2018. 2018, we saw 29 traumas and 4 deaths. Now, how many were actually related to usage of or non-usage of helmets? There were 10 that were actually related to the non-use of helmets out of those 22. You had 14 males, 8 females that went to the trauma units. Out of those, there were only 4 Volusia County residents that went. Outside of Volusia County, but still Florida residents, you had 12. Out of state, you had 6. Now think about that. We had an influx of almost 50,000 people to the state of Florida for the Leesburg Fest, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and for Daytona Beach Oktoberfest, which was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You consider that we only had 22 traumas out of 52 traumas that were bike-related. That's not bad, the way I view it. Now, that being said, they consider 12 of those 22 to be caused by cars. people not paying attention, people overdriving around a motorcycle. That's a little excessive to me. When you have people that know that the bikers are in town and understand that this event influxes a lot into our economy. It helps him with gas taxes. Actually, it helps the whole city with gas taxes if you want to look at that. Another big thing is sales tax. We, as a city, rely a lot on sales tax and on gas taxes to do infrastructure, among other projects that we have to do. To see that we had more residents of Volusia County that were in accidents than out of state or the other parts of Central Florida, and being it related to how they drove was concerning to me, because the people who know the roads the best abuse them the worst. Now, all that being said, I wish Mr. Marino would have stayed, because I would have liked to thank him and all the rest of the sheriffs that overlooked our roads this whole weekend. Everybody knows that we had an accident right up here on I-4 that shut down I-4 Sunday. We also know that in Daytona Beach, there were 4 accidents on Saturday and Sunday together that shut down major parts of the city infrastructure. All that being said, I wish that the people on the council of Daytona Beach and of Volusia County would understand that this brings money to our town. Quit trying to shut it down.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Troy Shimkus, and then Richard Bellick, please.
Good evening, everyone. Troy Shimkus from Deltona. I wanted just to say a thank you to everyone from the event that we had this weekend with Deltona Strong and the community gardens. Was highly successful. I wanted to say thank you for everyone that was there. We had over 100 people come by. We raised over $500 for the gardens. Had some 7 people come on board to have their own plots being rented. So I just want to say thank you for the commissioners who showed up. Came out that weekend. It was really great to see everyone there. And I also want to say thank you to the economic development team here in Deltona. They've done an amazing job with some of our promotional materials, as well as putting signs up for us, and they've been a great partner in this project as well. Also, Deltona TV did an awesome job with some of the promo videos that they posted out for us, helping us get the word out, so thank you to them. They've been doing some amazing work, not just for us, but in general for the city. I'm sure you've all seen lots of their videos that are looking absolutely amazing these days, so that's a huge asset to our city. And also, I want to say a special thank you to Parks and Rec, who have gone well above and beyond all of the acts that we had for them. They came out on their own time to build some extra stuff for us. They were there painting on Friday afternoon. They've just been absolutely stellar of a partner for us. We couldn't ask for anything more. So the Gardens has really come a long way, and we have a lot of big plans for the coming year, and so we're looking forward to partnering more with the city, doing more events. I just wanted to make sure I said thank you. I'm sure if I forgot anyone, I'm sorry. I'm sure there's a lot of people that helped us with it. So Joe, yes, Joe Hearn was also super helpful in bringing a lot of the materials we needed for the event. Thank you, Dana, for letting me know. Again, it was definitely a collaborative effort from a lot of people, and we certainly appreciate the city's support in this project, and we look forward to doing a lot more with you guys in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Richard Bellick, then Brandy White, Sean King, and Alciani Gonzalez, and Donna McDonald.
I'm going to be speaking from a different beat. On September 30th, I was in a Circle K store, and a 45-year-old and 46-year-old male were abusing women, children, everything in there, right? And me being the person I am, I had to intervene. The store called the police. They were trespassed from the area. I went over this with Captain Marino, who was very nice about it, and he is going to give me a hand with this. And the same person was stalking my 12-year-old neighbor. She's only a kid, and the mother called me, and we seen a patrol going by, so I stopped, and it was Officer Richardson, who went and talked to my neighbors, who told them he's watching her, he's over here, he's over there, and since then it has seemed to stop, but he has been coming by my house. I mean, this guy's very intelligent to come by my house. I mean, but anyway, he's going to take care of this, and that's all I got to say, but I'm hoping that Captain Marino which I know he'll keep his word. That's not what I'm saying, but I hope he gets on it right away. And I really want to be on TV with this, to have the video in case this blows up any further, because, I mean, this is a dope and a drunk, two of them. And, you know, I'm not actually a kid. And having lived in Deltona for over 30 years and never got so much as a citation or a traffic ticket or any blemish whatsoever, I just want to be protected. So I'm going to give his address, 1749 West Acadian Drive, and he's persistent in this, so I have to take care of myself. I would rather do this than pay a lawyer, Skip. I mean, I'm not cheap, but that's what it would come to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brandy White, then Sean King, Oceani Gonzalez, and Doug McDonald. Brandy White, please.
Brandy White, Deltona. Actually, I came to speak about an agenda item, but I wasn't called. So I'm going to use my public comment for that, although I don't feel I should have to. What I wanted to discuss on the public comment was really about your online request to speak form and how there's requirements on there, or it doesn't get turned in, and that inhibits people from signing up to speak, and it's against the law. You can't require my name or my email or my address either. So if you could get that fixed. But what I came to speak on was actually item 5C, the proclamation, Florida City Government Week. Can anybody explain that further? So, like, what exactly are these proclamations? Like, is it like just lip service? Is it an image? What follows that? Is there actions of some sort? What exactly is happening this week regarding Florida City Government Week? For example, the proclamation says, and I'm going to quote it for you, it encourages all citizens, which includes me, so now I'm being asked to and encouraged to do something. City government officials and employees, well, that's all of you. So you guys are being asked to essentially be encouraged to do something. And that something is to, and I'm going to quote, do everything possible to ensure this week is recognized and celebrated. So as a citizen, I have lots of ideas, so I can uphold my end, but my question is, what are y'all doing? Like, you're encouraging us, but what does that look like, other than like some stickers and some pens? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sean King, Oceani Gonzalez, then Doug McDonald. Sean King, please.
Hopefully set this on here. That'll be good. All right, good evening. I'm Sean King, City of DeLand, and current president of the NAACP. Good evening to the mayor, commissioner, members of the West Volusia NAACP, and amazing citizens of Deltona. Today I'm requesting the immediate resignation of our current commissioner, Lauren King, for his association with the extremist group known as the Oath Keepers. I would like to read from the duties of the mayor and the city commissioner for the city of Deltona. The mayor and the commissioner are responsible for the legislative and policy function of the city government. These functions include appointing charter officers, city manager, city attorney, enacting ordinances, resolutions, and other official acts necessary for the proper governing of the city, reviewing and adopting the annual budget, reviewing and acting upon recommendation of the city manager, various boards, committees, appointing advisory and board members, contracting municipal services for the city, and promoting the protection, safety, and general welfare of the city of Deltona. The Oath Keepers was officially launched with a rally in Lexington, Massachusetts in April 19, 2009, in the wake of the electing its first black president, Barack Obama, founded by former U.S. Army paratrooper Elmer Rhodes. Rhodes has made many public statements. It is critical that all patriots who can be in D.C. get to D.C. to stand tall to support President Trump's fight to defeat the enemies, foreign and domestic, who are attempting a coup through the massive voter fraud and related attacks on the Republic. We Oath Keepers are both honor-bound and eager to be there in the strength to do our part. Another quote, Well, I think that we have to realize that, Trump's actually failed. He had a duty and responsibility to step up, but he failed to do that and allowed Chi-Com puppet into the White House. And I think we now need to just declare that to be illegitimate, refuse to comply with anything that comes out of his mouth, anything he signs, anything passed, a so-called legislation, label it, label it pretend legislation like the Founding Fathers did. Stewart's quoting this. The name Oath Keepers comes from the core principle of the group that members vow to uphold the oath they took as law enforcement or military personnel to support, defend Constitution against enemies foreign and domestic. The Oath Keepers have urged their members to obey the Constitution as they understand it, even if its interpretation goes against that of U.S. lawmakers and judges. The sad story is this country is divided by the false interpretation of the Constitution, even the Bible. Extremist groups use these documents to perpetuate lies and cause confusion and distrust. We have extremist groups vowing to wage war against the U.S. government. We have a group of white men, ex-police officers, ex-military, former judges, lawyers, and medical responders conspiring together to cause chaos and fear to the citizens of the United States of America. We have today, out of 130 quoted members of the Oath Keepers in the state of Florida, one sitting in the most distinguished seat as City Commissioner of Deltona. He has claimed to no longer associate himself with the group, but our concerns is the judgment to even join such a group, considering the duties of a commissioner of the City of Deltona to promote the protection, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Deltona. As a concerned citizen of Volusia County, I request immediate resignation to protect the integrity of the office and avoid future division that King staying in office will create. So last thought, as I drove my daughter to the pumpkin patch yesterday, a group of 4 cars with F. Biden was on the top of it. Just picture that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Oceani Gonzalez, then Doug McDonald. Oceani Gonzalez, please. I don't believe they're present.
Was that an online?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Doug McDonald, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Doug McDonald at 1494 Surrey Run Court here in Deltona. I wanted to address the status of Commissioner King here tonight for everyone and also for you. I'm not affiliated with any other group. I don't represent anyone other than myself, and I hope you will look at it that way. I'm asking each of you to look at your conscience and consider what's best for the city going down the road. According to the News Journal, which is all I have to go on, Commissioner King was or is a member of an organization that is really dedicated to the overthrow of the United States government. And as proof of that, this would be the insurrection on January 6th, which could be called a rebellion against the strength and power of the government, federal government. And we had 140 police officers injured. We had 5 people dead as a result of this uprising. As according to the paper, Commissioner King is not a member of that organization at this time. However, again, the paper says he was a member in the past. So I ask each of you to look and consider whether or not it is the best for the city to move forward to have a person on the board, on the commission, who would agree with and support these kind of positions. And I'm wondering, looking at it in the past, forgetting him for a moment, there have been other commissioners who have really faced the gavel and not conducted themselves well. Commissioner Alcantara, Commissioner Sukup, both those gentlemen resigned under pressure, and their behavior and their conduct on the commission was nowhere near approaching what this man has done according to the paper. So I'm asking each of you to look at your conscience, help this city move forward. Now, I know I don't have to tell you that you do not have the power to remove him. If he chooses not to resign, that's fine, but you do have the power. You do have the power to censure him, to reprimand him. And this has happened in other cities in our area, city of DeBerry, for example, and city of Palm Coast, if you want to look at that right now, what they're going through. So I'm asking you to do this in good faith and to do what's best for the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, this ends public comment.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move on to item 10, comments on consent agenda items. Has anyone signed up for comments on consent agenda items?
Yes, 11B.
Then go ahead, whoever that is.
Albert Bryant, please.
Mr. Bryant, item 11B. Okay.
The consent agenda. Let's see here. For once, I'm actually not going to ask you to pull anything, but I'm going to take and voice my opinion on something. Y'all notice under B, as Mr. Peters actually talked about earlier, is part of all this amazing Blue Springs borrow pit was where it originally started. And I understand now that's a complete failure. Wonder why. Now, what I find interesting about this whole thing is that it talks about sinking wells and then shoving water into the ground. If anybody's actually done their homework, they understand that there's a hydraulic engineer that's up on the north side of Lake George that has actually taken this to court 3 times now. And out of those 3 times, he actually won twice and proved that this absolutely does not work. Or sticking water into the ground, he can actually show that it causes sinkholes. So I hope that this isn't anywhere near any houses that we're going to have to worry about. Because as we all know, what was it? Just a few years ago, up on Howland, we lost 3/4 of that road up by the high school. Had to fill it in. Interesting. So what I ask is do y'all homework. Make sure you do your homework, because stuff like this causes problems for all of us.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner McCool, that ends public comment on consent,
Yes.
correct? Thank you. Commissioner McCool, then Commissioner Sosa.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Are you going to comment on consent agenda? Because I'm going to go to that now. We've closed public comment. Now I'm going to go to consent agenda before we go to public commission comment. So this evening on consent agenda, we have item A, request for approval of the task authorization with Tetra Tech for the bidding support and construction administration of the NW Drainage Project Improvements Project in accordance with their agreement with the City of Deltona and RFQ number PW 2020-08 for continuing on-call stormwater engineering services in the amount not to exceed $75,286. Item B, request approval of the task authorization with Mead and Hunt Incorporated for the design, permitting, and bidding assistance for a new Upper Florida and Aquifer exploratory well for the purpose of direct aquifer recharge using treated surface water from the St. Johns River in accordance with their agreement with the City of Deltona and RFQ number PW 2020-10 for continued on-call water and wastewater utility plant engineering services in the amount of $180,878. Item C, request approval of 4-post open front 18,000-pound capacity service rack for the Fleet Division. A quote for this purchase shall not exceed $29,870.22. Item D, approval of budgeted purchases for fiscal year 21-22. Item E, request approval for purchase of a 4-inch trailer-mounted solids handling sound attenuated vacuum-assisted pump for the Stormwater Division. The quote for this purchase shall not exceed $61,229. Item F, request approval for purchase of a Caterpillar 299D3 compact track loader based on piggybacking the 21-22 Florida Sheriff's Association contract for the Stormwater Division. The quote for this purchase shall not exceed $92,163. Item G, request approval for purchase of a tandem dump truck based on piggybacking the 2020-2022 Florida Sheriff's Association contract for the Stormwater Division. The quote for this purchase shall not exceed $126,404. Now, Commissioner McCool, and then Commissioner Sosa, and then Commissioner Ramos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to pull A and B, please.
So you want to pull 11A and 11B?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Sosa?
I was just looking to pull 11B.
11B, okay. Commissioner Ramos?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If that's all that's being pulled, I just want to make a motion then to approve consent agenda item C, D, E, F, and G.
Okay, properly moved for items consent agenda, items C, D, E, F, G. Motion made by Commissioner Ramos, seconded by Vice Mayor Bradford. May we vote, please? And the motion passes for items C, D, E, F, and G, 7-0. Item 11A, Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do I do 11A and B? Can I speak to the whole?
No, just do one at a time, because
Okay.
Commissioner Sosa also requested B.
Okay, so speaking to 11A, I wanted to make sure that I certainly know I'm not an expert in stormwater or anything to do with stormwater, that you professionals know what you're doing. I'm not questioning that. What I am asking is that when this project comes along, okay, being that this is tied so heavily to our drainage, to our infrastructure, right? I just want to understand more, because A is tied to B, and I'm not an expert, but I want to hear more about this. I know that you have your high priority focus areas, so that's all I'm asking, right? So not necessarily that I don't agree with it, but I would like more conversation about this as it relates to, you know, our holistic approach, right, our long-term. So whether that be Mr. Peters sitting down with you and someone else, that's fine, but A and B go hand in hand. So that's why I wanted to pull A also.
Okay, did you want to make a motion to approve A? Did you want to not approve A? What is your desire on 11A?
I would like to make a motion to approve it, but with the understanding that as we move along here, we need to know more about these projects. This is one of the biggest things that our residents ask us about, are these flooding issues. So whether, Mr. Peters, that be in private, right, or in whatever, but I need to understand more about this holistically.
Okay, if I can address that, Ms. Nicole, you know as well as anybody on the dais that we have made numerous efforts to have public meetings to inform the public about each one of our projects that we're pursuing. And we will do likewise here. There will be opportunity for the public to be involved, to hear what's being proposed. This is a project that has been on the books for quite some time. When we changed the prioritization process 18 months ago, we put a priority on flooding and that type of thing, and this particular group of projects moved down the list. So now they're back up on the list, and we are ready to pursue the modification to the plans and proceed to construction. But we would certainly have public participation by having neighborhood meetings to discuss what we're doing, what to expect, and the like. So you have my assurance, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With that being said, I would like to make a motion to approve
consent agenda item
A. Thank you.
Okay, properly moved by Commissioner McCool, seconded by Commissioner Ramos. May we vote on consent agenda item A, please? And the motion passes 7-0. Consent agenda item B, Commissioner McCool, and then Commissioner Sosa.
Yeah, thank you again, Madam Mayor. With B, The question is, I know that we're in contact and we talk with the St. Johns River management, right? I mean, I know that we do. I know that we do all of our due diligence, but this is a hot button topic here that also needs more hand-holding for me, for residents, because, you know, when I think about this, the other borrow pit didn't go through, right? And I don't want us poking holes in the ground. I'm not trying to be flip, but I'm just stating that I would like to understand more about this project. Also, I just would like to understand more about this before we, I know that we're going to have to approve the consultant, but I need to understand from them how we're going to overcome the failures that happened at the Blue Springs borrow pit, so that this is not a continuation of that. And our CUP is hot button item, and I just would like to understand more of that. Mr. Peters, I know that you are an engineer. I know that you know what you're doing, but sometimes you have to, there are teachable moments, and this is one, especially when it comes to clean water and stuff like that. So with that being in mind, I trust you, I trust your judgment, but I need this discussed more. I need public to be able to hear this also. So I don't know what I'm asking you for, but I'm asking you for it.
Let me try to address it. When it comes to replenishing the aquifer, there are several methodologies. One is what we call land application. That's where reclaimed water goes out to individual property for irrigation purposes. And the reclaimed water is applied to the land as part of irrigation. In that particular case, about 10% of the actual water will ever make its way down to the aquifer. So you get 10% return by simply using reclaimed water for irrigation. That said, that water works its way through the sand, which acts as a filter, so by the time it gets down to the aquifer, it's extremely clean. The second methodology is what we've already talked about, which is rapid infiltration basins. These are pockets of area where the sand soil is very permeable. We have a number of areas around the city that fall in that category. In those particular locations where you have rapid infiltration basins, you can figure about 30% of the water will make its way to the aquifer. So you're getting 3 times the advantage using a rapid infiltration basin over surface water treatment. The injection wells is more like 90% of the water makes it to the aquifer. So it's 9 times more efficient than irrigating and 3 times more efficient than putting it in a rapid infiltration basin. The Blue Springs project was kind of an anomaly. It really didn't qualify as a rapid infiltration basin because it was an old clay borrow pit. And clay is one of the worst materials for permeability. But the thought was that it would go horizontal out into the aquifer and down. Unfortunately, when we did the testing, it's called mounding, where you allow the water to build up enough height that by pressure it will push it into the ground. Unfortunately, the clay strata was so thick that it just was not going down fast enough. So that's why that project was abandoned. As many of you all know, because we've had individual discussions, the Volusia County is in the process of taking the Del North wastewater plant offline, sending the flow to DeBerry, to the plant over there, because that plant meets the Blue Springs requirement for phosphorus and nitrogen, rather than trying to upgrade the Del North plant, which would be very expensive. Similarly, we're looking at the same thing at Fisher. we're looking to send the Fisher flow to the same DeBerry plant, because the cost of upgrading the Fisher plant to remove the phosphorus and nitrogen to a level that's acceptable is extremely expensive, $18 million and upwards. The surface water in the St. Johns River is relatively clean. The phosphorus and nitrogen level are pretty low. You can pretty much tell that because there's not a whole lot of vegetative material in the area of the boat dock on Lakeshore. So you're already starting off with a water that's relatively clean. We've already built a treatment facility at Alexander Rib site. It's filtration and chlorination. This is a tried and true methodology all over Central Florida. For instance, over in Altamont for the I-4 project, to handle the stormwater from that project and the 100-year floodplain requirement, the city of Altamont put in what they call the A-First project. It's nothing more than taking the surface water, this filtration and chlorination, put it in the reclaim system, either use it as part of reclaim or send it to a POPCA in 3 very, very large ribs. So what we're looking at with this particular project is the most efficient way to get the water to the aquifer that is treated from a source that is pretty clean. Now, that being said, much like that happened with the Blue Springs borrow pit, we will be working with not only St. John, but the DEP. Both of them have a vested interest in this project. And, we will go through a process of treating it, seeing the composition of the water, does it meet drinking water standards, which it should be very close to doing. Then when we put it into the injection well, we monitor the water. We'll have a monitoring well where we monitor the water in that area to make sure that there's not any type of degradation in the rock formation or what have you. All of that process will determine if this is long-term a viable project for health, safety, and welfare. So my assurance to you is, as we go through this process, we will know that the water going in, A, is near drinking water quality, and B, it will not have a degradation effect on the aquifer down below. So and if we can do that, then we get a permit for the aquifer ingestion. I am almost 100%, 99.9% certain that St. John's and DEP will have a monitoring component to our injection well, where we will take samples out of monitoring well to ensure that, long term, that nothing occurs.
So thank you for that clarification, and I just want it to be on the record that my ask for my residents, I understand that we want efficiency, but more important to me is protecting the environment, protecting our precious resource. I want it to be said on the record that when that the contractor keeps this in mind, when they're doing that study, that we are on the most cutting edge of preserving the quality of the water, protecting our CUP, and making sure that we're taking care of and being good stewards. And not that I don't think that we are, but I just want that to be at the top. We have a huge responsibility, right? And I just want that to be at the top of the list, that we protect our water quality. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Sosa.
Yeah, well, you addressed one of them. I was going to ask you what was the failure at the Blue Springs borrow pit, but you've addressed that. I'm just curious, how much did that borrow pit, how much did the residents of Deltona pay for that? Do you know that?
Can you ask that again?
How much did the residents of Deltona pay for the borrow pit project? Do you know?
It was based on, the ratio is based on population. So obviously, we had a large percentage. I think we were about 40% of the total cost
40%
of that project.
Do you know what the total cost was?
Pardon me?
Do you know what the total cost was?
Steve, do you know?
I don't remember.
Yeah. I want to say it was in the order of $1 million, somewhere in that fashion, so our share would have been 400. It was worth the investment because that would have been one of the cheapest alternatives for replenishing the aquifer and the Blue Springs spring shed, because it was immediately adjacent to Blue Springs. So that would have done more to help the minimum flow level being that close. Unfortunately, it did not work.
Okay. So has that project been dropped altogether, or do we still use it to recycle some water?
Pardon me?
Has the Blue Springs borrow pit been dropped altogether, or do we still use it to recycle some water?
I believe Orange City may still pursue a project there because they have a serious drainage flooding problem in the Mill Pond area off of 1792. As part of the project, Orange City had a pipe that went all the way to the river. Obviously, St. John's and DEP did not want that surface water to go directly to the river without some form of treatment. So as part of the Blue Springs project, a small section of pipe was put into the borrow pit. And while it was not sufficient to handle the amount of reclaimed water that we would send there, it does appear that it was sufficient to handle that drainage problem.
Okay. Now, you've already answered what the upper fluoride aquifer was. Is any other municipalities in the area using that process right now, the UFA?
The city of Sanford has been working on injection wells. They've even been working on ASR technology for some time. I believe the city of Port Orange has injection wells to the west of I-95. The theory there being that by putting the reclaimed water along that area, that they would create what we call a water curtain, because their water supply wells are further west of those injection wells. So by having a water curtain, it prevents the salt water from intruding into their well field, because once the salt water would get into it, now you're dealing with brackish water, and your treatment cost is significantly more. So I know they have some injection wells strictly for reclaimed water. I don't believe it's even treated beyond reclaimed water standards, and it is injected to create that water curtain to keep the salt water at bay. Those are the two that I'm readily aware of.
Okay. Now, my last question is, after the study is done, what would be the anticipated cost of doing these injection sites?
The main thing with the injection project would be the actual drilling of the injection well, and the likelihood that we would have to have 1 or 2 monitoring wells. Now, the monitoring wells are much smaller, so their cost is rather insignificant compared to the injection wells. I fully expect that, given the cost of drilling of recent, the actual drilling cost would probably be in the order of $250,000 to $300,000. And then you got the monitoring well, which may add another, another $100,000. But while the number seems rather large, you need to remember what I said before about the efficiency of replenishing the aquifer using injection well versus ribs or surface application.
You good?
And do we know the success rate of Sanford?
I know Sanford has struggled, and I'm not aware of it enough to know whether it was the injection well or whether it was the aquifer storage and recovery. My recollection, it is the ASR component that they're struggling with, not the injection part. But Port Orange has been highly successful with their injection wells.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Before we have a motion and a second for this, I just would like to make a couple of points. I chair the Utilities, Natural Resources, and Public Works Policy Committee for the Florida League of Cities, and injection wells have been a topic. I've been on that committee 7 or 8. Are you on the board? Oh, sorry. It has been a topic of discussion throughout all the years that I've sat on that policy committee, and Senate Bill 64 regarding reclaimed water was just passed and signed into law last year, which requires utilities to have a plan for basically any type of water that's discharged, surface water, other water, any type of wastewater, to have a full plan in place and to pretty much eliminate surface water discharge by 2028, I believe it is, and then there's another extension if the utilities can't comply by that. Small utilities are exempted. We are not a small utility. So basically what you're looking at with an injection well, there's multiple injection wells. Manatee County just approved an injection well for the Piney Point waste. Am I correct? From where the Piney Point had the pollution leak from the phosphate, whatever that is there, they approved an injection well for that. Our injection well would be surface water discharge, correct? Stormwater. It would not be treated wastewater?
That is correct.
Okay, and there's a difference in that. Although the state of Florida is moving more and more by this bill and by other bills, moving more and more forward, including what the governor approved last year to do the toilet to tap, meaning that your sewer water, your treated wastewater is drinking water standard. And eventually all the injection and eventually all the water or all the water runoff is going to have to be treated to that level. That is the goal of the current Senate president and also a lot of the legislators to deal with the water issues that we have in the state of Florida, talking about saltwater intrusion. Mr. Peters, correct me if I'm wrong, but all the east side water wells at this point are west of 95 due to saltwater intrusion, correct?
Actually, that's correct, and believe it or not, they're dealing with saltwater intrusion in Winter Springs as far inland as that is.
And that's a big issue in terms of saltwater intrusion. We don't want to talk about that. We don't have that issue here, but we do if we go deep enough. If you drill wrong, you'll have saltwater intrusion here. We had it on this piece of property years ago. So the whole thing with an injection well, as long as it is surface water that's properly treated at this point, I can support that. I could not support anything that would be the equivalent of Piney Point or anything else. And the monitoring wells, is my understanding, have to be there, correct, sir? You have to have the monitoring wells.
That is my understanding, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because there's strict guidelines that you have to permit this and it has to be approved also, sir, correct, through the state? So there's a complete process, whatever site we choose, how this goes through the process, the state has to approve that, and it has to be monitored. Because I think there's over 220 injection wells in the state of Florida at this point. So I support the study. I support looking into this, and I know that we're going to bring this forward and we're going to look at when any new legislation comes up in this legislative session. Because, as I said before, it's a big goal of the state legislature and the governor at this point to really look at basically not wasting water. And that also ties to agriculture. There's a big agricultural need for water, and the more water that you save and don't waste, the more you have for ag as well. So there's a driver. That is also a driver statewide. So we need a motion and a second for item 11B.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept consent agenda item 11B.
Okay, properly moved by Vice Mayor Bradford, seconded by Commissioner McCool. May we vote, please? Motion passes 7-0. We will now go to the next item on the agenda, which is City Commission special reports and requests. Commissioners, do you have any reports, any requests? Let's see. Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First is a report/request, and I do not know if all parents are aware of this, but I was tagged in a post regarding there was an incident at one of our middle schools and where a child was beaten up, and the whole story came out. There was a Board of Education member that addressed it and dug into it, and this is a result of a TikTok challenge, okay, going on in our middle school and high school. And the report is, this is what I want parents to understand, this is what your children are doing right now, okay? October is Smack a Staff Member. Smack a staff member. November is Kiss Your Friend's Girlfriend at School. December is Deck the Halls and Show Your Balls. January is Jab a Breast. February is Mess Up School Signs. March is Make a Mess in the Courtyard or Cafeteria. April is Grab Some Eggs. May is Ditch Day. June is Flip Off in the Front Office. July is Spray a Neighbor's Fence. And that's where it goes. So parents, this is what your children are being encouraged to do on social media. I wish you would try to grab a child's breast. I mean, seriously, really? This is socially what we're encouraging right now? My request is that we have qualified person go into each one of our local schools and speak about this and bring awareness to this, because this is some bull. If your children would like to be noticed and they would like notoriety, what about donating your service to a local charity or do some community service? I am gobsmacked by what kids today think are cool.
What is your request from this commission?
My request from the city is that we talk about having somebody go into these schools or making sure that somebody is going to each one of our middle, elementary, and high schools and addressing this matter.
Who do you suggest does that from the city of Deltona? Because this is, I know it's a school board. I know the school board has addressed this, and it's a school issue. So what is your suggestion?
That we ask that we make the request as a city, that we have consensus as a city to ask the school board to address and go into the schools. That's what my ask.
Mayor, may I make a comment? May I make a comment on Commissioner McCool's comment? This was addressed at the CompStat meeting, and the Sheriff's Department is working on this with the Board of Education. This was addressed, and it was commented by Carla, who is in charge of the juvenile section of the Sheriff's Department. So I think that the Sheriff's Department is addressing this with the Board of Education, but you can follow up with Captain Marino so he can share more information on this with you. I think Commissioner Sosa and Commissioner King were at the CompStat, am I correct? It was addressed to a certain point?
It was addressed, but also, if you remember, the sheriff said unless there was criminal activity, they stay out of the school system. So if there's nothing criminal that the school calls them about, they don't go in there, they don't approach it. But I think, you know, if maybe you reach out to, is it Carla, who's part of the children's, part of the sheriff's office, I think that would be an appropriate
Right, and they will not get involved, like Commissioner Sosa said, unless they're called, because that's a
Board of Education. Again, We have a responsibility as a city to denounce this. I don't know that we have a community service officer, but somebody representing the city of Deltona. The school, yes, Board of Education, but these schools are in our district. These are our parents. These are our children. So I don't know what needs to be done. I'm willing to entertain that, but as a city, we need to denounce this. You know, we can't put everything off on the sheriffs. If they're addressing it, that's fine, but I'm asking that we address it, or that we out it, or that we do something about this. So I leave that up to the powers that be, and I will follow up with that.
Vice Mayor Bradford and then Commissioner King.
May I make a suggestion? You know, and I do agree with you, Honorable Commissioner McCool. The goal is to stop it before it gets to the sheriff's office, and sometimes it's just a matter of knowledge on parents' part to know what's going on. I actually picked up my granddaughter's iPad one day when it kept going off profusely and was floored at what a group of 8-year-olds were doing across the screen, and actually contacted one of the parents who was floored when she looked at it and saw what her daughter was writing. So sometimes it's a matter of parents aren't aware. They see cute videos on TikTok and they think it's funny and it's cute, and they're learning these things. So maybe it's more of an outreach. Maybe it's more of our wonderful tech department and maybe putting things out there and doing a parent awareness that would help the school board. I think the sheriff and the school board are very aware of things, but I think maybe what we can do is maybe staff can do awareness and just put it out there so parents are, keeping an eye on what's going on and getting ahead of it. Not so much interviewing and intercepting on the school board and the sheriff, but let's try to get in front of it and make parents aware.
And Madam Vice Mayor, I agree 100%, because I'm going to tell you this, especially at Halloween, and I'm going to tell you this, that someone very close to me years ago was doing a harmless Halloween prank, stealing from somebody's yard a pumpkin. The homeowner chased them down and shot them in the head and murdered a 17-year-old boy with a bright future because he was participating. And I will tell you that never goes away. That never goes away, and we have enough range of diversity in this city that somebody will go to the wrong home and do this. They are going to grab or jab the breast of the wrong parents, and we're going to have a murder on school ground on our hands. Not to mention that this is sexual battery, this is vandalism, and this is assault. These are not pranks. These are serious crimes, and that's all I want to do is raise awareness, Madam Mayor. I apologize. Thank you.
Commissioner King and then Commissioner Ramos. Then we're going to wrap this up.
Well, I would just suggest that maybe we contact Reuben Cologne, find out what's going on with the school board, get an update on where this is, what they're doing exactly to squelch it and put a stop to it. I think that would be a good place for us to go, and I think it's not a bad thing for us to denounce what's going on either, as a city. That some things are just not supposed to be happening, and these kinds of pranks, if you want to call them that, are not suitable, and I think that we need to address it that way.
Commissioner Ramos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to agree with King and Commissioner Koo. I feel you, and it's working in the school system for 12 years. You'll be surprised at the things that are happening. But I think to even Vice Mayor's point, I think we ought to first of all allow the process and maybe work with our school board, whether that's our representative, and see the messaging. So we don't want to duplicate, or we don't want to be creating another message through the city, because to the mayor's point, who's going to do that from the city? Who's on what responsibility is that going to fall? But I think if we can work in a messaging with the school board through our Deltona TV, using our social media, I think that might be more productive way than probably asking our city manager to see who should we send to speak to these individuals in the schools. Because I have to tell you, it's not just going speaking to them. You have to be able to connect. And if we don't have the right people to connect with these students, I hate to say it this way, I don't care who you send in there, they're just not going to listen. But I think if we can package our messaging with the school board, and yes, King, we should be able, we don't need any permission to denounce that. And I think we have to play more of a role active in that. So I think it's just, let's reach out to our school board, our city manager, just to reach out and see what's the messaging so we can compact it together and move in that aspect of it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Commissioner, Ramos. Working with youth for 15 years here in the city of Deltona, I can tell, and a boxing group, I can tell you that I've witnessed a lot of this. Trying to get into the school, it's another challenge. Because if you are not approved by the Board of Education, you cannot bring anything into the school. No programs, no speeches, no anything. It has to be approved by the Board of Education. If you want to distribute a flyer in a school, it has to be approved. So I agree with Commissioner Ramos, and maybe we can have a sit-down with a Board of Education representative and see how the city can promote programs to get the kids in the schools involved and stop all this from happening. And I want to tell you that one of the comments made at the CompStat meeting was lack of participation from adults, including the parents, and I'm sorry, but I have to throw it out there. We had a program here in Deltona called Bully Armor. It was started by Nick Pizza, and it was a group of us who first started on this board. We have professionals who went to the schools, spoke to the students, Heritage, Middle. We started with elementary because we all know that, it starts elementary, middle school. Once they get into high school, you have a little bit more harder time to work with them because now they're grown, they're adults or grown teenagers. So we had to close it down because of lack of volunteers. So I think that, as much as we want to do on the city level, I don't think we have that power to get into the Board of Education. But we could work with them, and maybe we can come up and see how we can participate in programs that they have already come up with to, go over these programs with the tic-tac stuff.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. So we actually have a member of our media here today. Hello, Al. Maybe if we got the Beacon and we got the News Journal and Channel 13 knew about this, because let's face it, we have issues with our own outreach to our own residents about our own events. And I'm not saying, this is definitely serious and is definitely something that awareness needs to be made of, but the parents need to be aware of that. The guardians need to be aware of that, of the kids. And I'm sure the teachers are aware of it, and maybe not. But there has to be a consistent message that is brought out through the media. And the Beacon, and the News Journal, and the Orlando Sentinel, and Channel 13, and the other news medias, Channel 6, 2, 9, they all have a far bigger reach than we do. And maybe if someone in the media did what you said, what you just read, that is something, maybe they need to go ahead and do that and present the awareness to everyone in our area, in everyone's area, because this isn't only Volusia County. So, Ruben, school board representative for District 5, if you're watching, peace. I know that you were the one that absolutely addressed the situation. When we had all received an email regarding the incident, and Ruben was great about responding to that. And I think that the key is consistent messaging, and the key is to getting it out there. So I have no problem with the city supplying that message and putting it on the social media that we have, but it needs to be the same message that the school is going to send out, because we can't do something random and then not have that same message be brought out to the school. So my suggestion would be to get with Mr. Colon, and then with the news media, how the school board wants to blast that out to the media and bring that awareness forward and see what we can do. And if we as in our individual capacity want to do that, address it and see what everyone has set up here. What is the level that the school board will let individuals get involved and speak? That has to be their guideline. Any other comments, Mr. Peters?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so the first step will be, I would say, we need to reach out to Mr. Ruben Colon and see what they have for a plan for the schools regarding this.
And Madam Mayor, last thing very quickly is that Ruben is incredibly responsive and incredibly involved. I mean, he was on this in a matter of minutes after it was messaged to me and brought to my attention. I was not able to attend ComStat. I had a previous engagement, so thank you for that, for letting me know that, because I was not aware of that. But this is serious, and this is, will affect somebody at some point in time here when their child it already has affected, right, somebody's child. So thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing that conversation to happen.
Thank you. And Vice Mayor, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just got something else. Are you done? Yes. Okay. So I think it was our last meeting when we had our wonderful, I think it was Troy came up and talked about the murals and the gardens. They had mentioned that they would like to have murals, other places with murals around the city. Do we have anything on murals? So, for instances, Lake County had an individual that put a mural up and they got coded by the city. Do we have anything code-wise regarding if a business or somewhere wanted to put another garden mural up similar to what's over at the community gardens? Is there anything on that?
I don't think so.
That prohibits it.
Correct. Prohibits, encourages, permits, anything required of it.
I will do this. I will get with Ron Paradise and look at it. As you all may be aware, I was in a municipality that dealt with a code issue of a house, that the entire house was Starry Night, and so I'm really reluctant to talk about it.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Hence, I do know a business that had considered putting a mural on the front, so I wasn't sure if we had anything. Obviously, we don't want
Let
to
me
get out of
confer
hand
with
like
Ron
that.
and our
I know
city
exactly what you're
attorney.
talking about. That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And now we'll move on to city attorney comments. Mr. Attorney, anything?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
City manager.
I got a couple items for you.
Why would you not?
First one is as you all know, we had a highly successful job fair earlier. And next Monday, we will have one, what I'm referring to as the community job fair. It starts at 2 o'clock and goes till 7. Mark Manning has been doing an incredible job. It's interesting. At the job fair that we're sponsoring, we have Volusia County School Board, Halifax Health, Volusia County Sheriff. We're still working on Advent, and it'd be nice if Family Health Source would be part of it. But we also have a number of other small businesses that are coming, and we're hoping for another very highly successful job fair. I view this as an outreach opportunity for our residents to find employment. That it may be a new position or something that pays better, but this is part of our effort to help out the community. The second item is just a reminder that in my contract I have an annual evaluation. It's coming due, so I'll be working with Joyce to get the evaluation form out to you all with a date certain based on the contract.
Thank you, sir. Okay, city commission comments. Commissioner Ramos, let's start with you today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was wasn't going to talk about this, but I think because of the conversation that we just had, I want us to realize then the importance of our parks and recs and the activities that our parks and recs are creating and working on. So it's important for us to be involved, because when you build those relationships with these students that are participating with our parks and rec, we've had a successful basketball league for six seasons already. We have about 200 kids involved. We had flag football that started last season. That's coming back. We had dodgeball today. So our parks and rec, again, are providing and creating these activities so that we can not necessarily have to go to the school, but be able to work with them in an environment that it's much more approachable. So I think even that. We have a zombie walk. Again, these are activities that we, as individuals, can participate and promote so that the young people who are involved can see us, and we have that opportunity to be able to be coachable moments. So we have a zombie walk now, October 23rd, that starts at 6:30. We also, again, we recognize our boys and girls. We have a tremendous group in Harris-Saxon, over 70 boys and girls that we're working with. So again, we have opportunities to do some of these things. Community garden, great success. Congratulations to Deltona Strong. It was great to see Paul and Jim Pecha out there, who are pretty much the ambassadors in reference to our community gardens. October 22nd, 7 p.m., we have 80s night. Over at the center. Tickets can be purchased at the center. You don't have to wait till that day or go online, but definitely we have 80s night at 7 p.m. Mr. Peters talked about the job fair that we're having. Community games over at West Crowell, and this is for Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 4. On Tuesdays, they have cards, and on Thursdays is Domino's Day from 12 to 4. So again, these are a lot of the activities and events that are happening in our city that are very positive, that we can continue to promote those things so that we can continue to have success. And not to mention, Friday night, I participated in Saturday night, Battle of the Boulevard. Great success again. It was great to be able to give the torch not over. They keep winning the games, Deltona. But Pine Ridge principal says that it's in his contract that he cannot leave or be moved until Pine Ridge wins a Battle of the Boulevard. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I would like to take this moment to recognize Terry Ellis and Troy Shimkus for the inordinate amount of work that you put in to help make the community garden such a success. It is so beautiful out there, and congratulations on following through with Jim and Paula's vision, engaging the community in a real and sustainable way, and just everything that you guys did, it was wonderful out there. I'm very proud to be a part of Deltona Strong, and I'm so excited to see what's going to be happening out there as we move our community to a more sustainable and green future. Another person that I would love to thank is the incomparable Joe Hearn. I'm going to tell you something, mister. He comes in like this, saving the day, coming out there, bringing stuff, and rescuing us when we were needing stuff and participating. And Joe, you're such an integral part of the community, and I love you so very much and everything that you bring to our community. We're really, really privileged to have you in our community. You need a day off. I'm gonna out you there that you need to take a day off. So thank you for that. Also with that, Parks and Rec.
Madam McCool, I object to you telling him to take a day off.
Parks and Rec, listen, the amount of work that they contribute, the heart and soul that they put in out there at the gardens, they continue to elevate our city and continue with the improvements, and they're so important. I wish that I had staff names to say thank you. I am thanking you for all the hard work. And more importantly, our residents that came out and showed up, and some didn't even know that the community gardens was there. there, and they saw all the activity out there and started, they stopped by and bought plants, and it was really successful. So I would like to thank our community for that. And other than that, have a good night. Have a good night, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner King?
Well, I guess I have to make a comment tonight. Or maybe I don't. But I will. "51 years ago, I joined the military, and I took an oath. I took an oath to uphold the Constitution and defend this country and the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That oath has never been rescinded, and I still will defend this country and the Constitution against any enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't apologize for that. 3.5 years ago, I took on the responsibility of running for office here in Deltona as a city commissioner for District 1. I did that because I thought that I could serve the city and the citizens of this community in the right way, helping the city move forward and representing the people who live here. I made an oath with the citizens of Deltona, especially in District 1, that I would not quit and that I would not resign like people before me had done. And I recognize that oath tonight, and I tell you, if you're calling for my resignation, don't hold your breath, because I'm going to stay another year unless you folks up here somehow run me off. I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing here, and I think the citizens of this city think so too. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Sosa?
No comments.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, congratulations to Community Gardens. Awesome job, beautiful presentation. And I also just want to announce that New Hope Services, Human Services, is having a food drive this Wednesday at Lake Helen Osteen Road. It starts at 8 o'clock, so everybody's welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Vice Mayor?
Yes, congratulations. You guys hit it out of the ballpark with the community gardens, and I was kind of standing in the back there for a little bit, and it was kind of listening to some residents, and some of the comments I heard was, do you hear this? We're at a community garden. We got kids playing in the back. This is our city. I am so proud. Just listening to comments of everybody in the audience, it was heartwarming to hear how excited they were about that event taking place. And just, I want to say thank you to everybody, Deltona Strong, Joe, the staff, Mr. Peters for even allowing staff to do it, because I know you got to be the one saying, yeah, you can go do that. I mean, it goes all the way from the top down. This was a total community effort, and I don't know if you guys realize really the impact you had on the community, but yeah, hearing the comments, it was amazing. To me, that was better than anything out there, was listening to the residents say, this is what community is. So you guys nailed it. Great job. You're not going to hear me say this often, but Mr. Bellick had a point tonight. And that point was, I believe over the weekend, and in fact, VSO had arrested another individual who tried to lure another 12-year-old into a car. Luckily, she bypassed it. Other individuals saw it, took the information, and this individual was actually apprehended. Back in our day, there was the saying of, it takes a community, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think a lot of times we've went past that. I think people are afraid to even do that anymore and intervene because it's like, oh my God, this person's looking at my children wrong, talking to my child wrong. But we do need to be on the lookout. We do need to be watching. There was more information being posted. Hey, I was at another supermarket and there was a sticky note on their windows. Okay, what was the goal there? The goal there was to get the person out of the car so that something could happen to them. So these are things that we do have to be on the lookout for, but we do at this time and age. When you think of human trafficking, you don't think of human trafficking in your city and in your county and near your home. But it's very real and it's very scary. I'm so glad I don't have to raise my children in today's time. That's all I have to say on that. But we do need to keep our eyes and ears and everything out and be aware of our surroundings. And parents, it goes back to you again. Teach your children, make them aware, get it out there. You want to talk about a campaign, there's another campaign, because I'm reading more and more and more about this on social media and hearing it. Oh, this child was approached, this person was approached. They're approaching them walking home from school. So make sure we go back to the old adage of, teaching our children what to look for and how to handle those situations, because it's imperative and it could save a life. I'm just going to leave it at that. And, I encourage everybody to come to the job fair on Monday from 2 to 7. And I believe, Mr. Peters, you did say that you are accepting more businesses to participate in the job fairs. Or cost businesses, or how do the businesses get involved with this job fair?
My recommendation is they call the city manager's office and we will direct them to Mark Manning. He is the one that's coordinating this. And, I think the important thing I didn't mention a minute ago is free. Free to the businesses, free to the people who come in. We will set up a table, provide chairs for any business that wants to be involved.
Great. Sounds great. All right. Thank you, and everybody have a great week.
At the center, correct?
Yes. It's at the center from 2 to 7?
At the center.
Okay, and you said there is a fee to the businesses, or there is not a fee to businesses that want to participate, right?
Absolutely free.
Absolutely free, and you can find people to work. Praise God.
So I just have two quick items. The first item I wanted to address is the Florida City Government Week. Florida City Government Week, we've always mentioned it. This year we had a proclamation. Next year I hope that we have more participation in terms of providing civic engagement for our residents. Maybe go ahead and have tours of City Hall, different things. Have our fire stations, our fire departments participate, and so forth. That's a lofty goal for a city that's as young as we are, but that's a goal that I have. Florida City Government Week promotes civic engagement, education, and collaboration, and a lot of the things that my fellow commissioners talked about just in their city, in their commission comments, or talk about collaboration. We talk about collaboration with the community gardens, with the public-private partnership. We talk about collaboration with things within our own center, with Joe Hearn and what he's brought to the center and what he's brought to the city in terms of that public-private partnership. We talk about the park cleanups that we have. That's civic engagement. We just had one, Commissioner King, correct, at the Veterans Park. We talk about DTV that has gone from basically doing the basics to having a really awesome presence on social media to inform the residents that we have a charter review meeting coming up, we have a commission meeting, we have all these events. That's civic engagement, and it's getting the word out to our residents, which admittedly we have been not the best at over all the years that we've been a city. It's difficult, and we're really working toward that. By doing things like announcing the partnership with New Hope when we give them CDBG funding, Boys and Girls Club, all these things are public-private partnerships, and it's part of civic engagement and part of bringing a community together. And we have a long way to go, but I'm so proud of all of our commissioners. Commissioner McCool, your passion in bringing this out tonight. Commissioner King with your passion for the veterans, Commissioner Ramos with the parks, and Commissioner Sosa, you're always asking pointed questions, and you're involved with a lot of things that are part of this city. And the same with Commissioner Avila Vasquez. You've been a part of the city for a long time on the private end. And Vice Mayor, you have such an investment in this city with your business and with your heart. So we all do civic engagement, but it's up to all of us on this dais, because as we lead and move forward, it's what we can do and have that outreach. We're ambassadors for this city. That's part of our job. And we're trying. And I commend staff, and I superbly commend Acting City Manager Mr. Peters for bringing all the items on tonight's agenda forward, and to have them vetted out in public and not just be done because it was in the budget and approved. The budget was approved as a whole. It makes for a longer meeting. It makes us ask questions, but it's transparent, and that's the way it should be, as it was years and years ago when you had these items on consent agenda. So thank you, sir, for your transparency. And on a lighter note, last week I attended the unveiling of the Mary Mcleod Bethune statue in Daytona, and it was truly amazing to hear everyone speak that participated in this. It was very interesting to me to see that in Statuary Hall, every state's allowed to have 2 statues, and most states fund if there's going to be a change in the statue and put somebody else in there. The state of Florida chose not to fund anything, and this was a complete private group that raised $800,000 collectively to make this happen. And those people, the city of Daytona Beach, community leaders, businesses, state reps, Representative Leak, Representative Patrick Henry, Representative Elise Perry Thurston, those Senator Thurston, those representatives and senators that allowed this to happen were all part of a collective group that allowed this statue to be now placed in Statuary Hall in the beginning of the year, and I believe in February, in Washington. And if you have a desire to see this amazing piece of artwork, it is going to be at the News Journal Center on North Beach Street in Daytona through December 12th of this year. The exhibit hours are Sunday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The exhibit closes at 4 every day. It's free admission, and you can get tickets through Eventbrite at mmbstatue.com. And I strongly encourage you to go there and just look at the amazing piece of artwork. It's a lot of firsts. It is going to be the first African-American man or woman to be placed in Statuary Hall, the Mary Mcleod Bethune statue. It's the first Hispanic sculptor. Nilda, yes, that sculpted this piece. And just from the symbolism and from an artwork standpoint, and those of you that are into artwork, it is so amazing to just stand there and look at that piece. I encourage everyone to go, and I think Florida should be very proud. Very, very proud of what we've accomplished with that. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.